Hi everybody, it's Andy Mack here, just bringing you an update from the workbench. Just a little mid-term show of what I've been working on. So as you may know, I've been doing 15mm Prussian army. I'm just finishing off really that in terms of the infantry. I've still got the cavalry and artillery to do, but it's the second corps von Cleese, I think it is, from the Dresden campaign, which is 45 battalions of infantry, and that'll be on average 16 figures per battalion, for which I'm the scale I'm using. So yeah, I've nearly finished the infantry for that now, and I'll bring you a big presentation once they're done. Here are the warrior miniature. I've got them at the advanced pose because I just think it's more practical. These are going to be reserve infantry, and when they're at advance I can put them to line and they look like they're participating in the battle. Obviously the march poses are the classic sort of probably are the best poses for the troops to use, but obviously for practicality of battle I quite like the advance. I think it's called the advance anyway. So that's those. So it's on average these are each of the battalions. So just show the spacings. So 1, 2, 3, 4 battalions, and I'm just finishing off a couple of land there as well. And then in front of them, these cavalry units are French. It's going to be the light division from my French army is based on the Wagram army, Duro's corps, but I'm adding to that, so I'll be doing probably Saxons and Württemberg, and also I've got my Bavarian corps as well. But then I've got these are going to be the light division, which are chasseurs de cheval. So it's that'll be 50 figures of 4 regiments. I think it's the 1st and 2nd and 11th and 12th regiments are in that division. I've also been doing quite a bit of terrain, bits and pieces. This is I haven't got it all here, but this is a kit from I think it's Fala, which is a church, and it's 10mm. But obviously, when you use them as I do for my 15mm, a small sort of Swiss church in Germany, it's the scale's not too bad, I don't think. Obviously, the doors do show that the figures are bigger, but on the actual tabletop, in terms of footprint, it looks very good. So I'm putting together this model at the moment from Fala. Got the little conical goes on the top there, and I'll paint it up so it looks good. I've got to sort of turn it down because the one actually in the kit is quite, you can tell it's probably quite modern. It's got a big canopy on the front and it's quite ornate, so I'm trying to scale it down to perhaps a bit more authentic looking. It's all quite easy to put together, so that's that, and that will take part. Also promoting a book. It's an old friend's husband's book. This one, Fighting for Liberty. Now, Terry Churt recently did a presentation on his Jacobite interests, and this covers Argyll and Monmouth's military campaigns against the government of King James 1685. So it's the sort of what kicked off the the rebellion prior to the Jacobite situation. But it's actually quite a good book. It's in the sort of old school, old school sort of wargamer style. I don't know if many of you remember Peter Young's, who wrote these. He had a kind of wargaming style, of writing, so it's very interesting for wargamers, and equally had lots of maps and diagrams in. It's from a guy called Stephen Peck. So I just felt when reading it, as I'm reading it, it has lots of similarities in the way it's written and the way it sort of focuses on. It's very good for wargaming, lots and lots of maps. Argyll's rebellion isn't very well publicised, and in actual fact it's quite a nice little campaign for people to do. It's got lots of maps in. Deployments for armies, so that's the Argyll's model army. I'll just have a flip through because it would be unfair to really go into it in detail, but it's a promotion more than anything and then a review. Lots of maps and diagrams of the current places. The way it's written also, it's sort of one, it goes, because it happened at the same time or in the same year, it does jump about a bit from Argyll's campaign to the Monmouth's campaign, but it's got a lot of conjecture as well, like all these sort of things, but it's the detail of the actual formations is, I've not seen it, even in the old classic Monmouth Rebellion by David Chandler, his books on it, which I've got, but I can't find. I was hoping to show you. It's got some lovely prints, which is very, so I'm not going to, David Chandler, this has got a bit more detail than that, I would say. There is a lot of conjecture. I think Steve Carter, he's very long period of his life, he's been involved in reenactment, so he does know a lot about obviously weapons drills, what people would do in forming up and things like that, and how you would tackle terrain as a unit, and how that would affect your deployments and so forth. And that is very evident in the way he writes. But I've really enjoyed reading it, and I would beckon anyone to who's interested in the period to really have a look. I mean, it's got all the details of all the units involved, the numbers. I said there are some conjectures which some people may not disagree with. You know, he has certain views on certain things, but as that's all part of history, isn't it? One of the things I found really interesting, it gives you how long it takes each unit to march places. So I have I won't go into too much detail showing the book because of, you know, copyright and things like that, but it shows you how long it takes an army to march from one town to the other and how long a wagon train takes. He's actually calculated it in a chart. So for those of you who may want to do campaigns, it does show you how long it takes you to ride from, you know, Dorset to London, or how long an army marches to Salisbury from London, and what, you know, the various places they would take in their victuals and you know, fodder and other things like that, and how long it takes them to and it really captures the spirit. I said it hasn't got the artwork of Stephen Peck, which obviously David Chandler's book on the Sedgemoor Rebellion did, and it's one of my favourite artists for the historical artists, which obviously Brigadier Peter Young used as well in his books, Master Moore Edgehill, and many of the historians in the 80s used for their books. But you know, I think it's a very good thing. It is a little bit on the, I mean, it's I think I got it under £20, but it's there's a lot of information there. It's very much, in my opinion, been written as in a style that a wargamer would like. And it does bring in some new information. As I say, I'm only promoting it because it's obviously it's a friend of mine, so it would be wrong for me to review it properly. And you know, I don't really do any reviews, so but I've really enjoyed reading it, and I am enjoying reading it. I haven't finished it yet. But what really interested me was, I say, the information about the Argyll's rebellion, because that isn't well covered in many history books. Argyll's rebellion took place in the west coast of Scotland. They attacked Greenock and various other locations where there's a small battles and skirmishes. Needless to say, it was unsuccessful and he was executed. But it does give you a lot of scope for, obviously, if they were successful, both Monmouth and Argyll, and their plans were a lot bigger than just what is often promoted as pitchfork rebellion in the Somerset and Dorset area, when in actual fact it was hoped that it would be a nationwide rebellion, and there was in some quarters some surprise that it didn't happen. And obviously, interesting, Monmouth, the Battle of Sedgemoor. It was Marlborough's first, well, one of his first, or it was his first commands, where he, John Churchill at the time, took part. So yes, it's a good book. So yeah, that's Fighting for Liberty by Stephen Carter, covering Argyll and Monmouth's military campaigns against the government of King James in 1685. So it's pre-Jacobite Rebellion period and pre-Battle of the Boyne and all the glorious revolution of 1688, but it gives you a lot of historical context of how things developed into the Jacobite Wars. So there we are. So that's that. I haven't really got much more to add. As I say, I'll bring you my Prussian army once it's completed. I'll probably show the infantry first, because it does take quite a long time for me to paint them all. I'll get all the light division here based up as well. There's other thing. I've got a few other things to bring you as well, but I'll do that on the next showing. So I hope everyone's keeping well and safe. And as I've been watching your videos and enjoying them, do keep posting, even if it's minimal content. It's always good to keep lots of things coming in. And Andy McClellan, wishing you all the best and take care. Bye for now.